Good morning and thanks for joining us. We're really excited. This morning we have Lisa and Dave from Accountable Software and we'll be looking at Forms Printer. So I'll let you guys take it away.
All right, well, thanks for your time, Lakshmi. Thanks, Anne. We are going to be demoing the Forms Printer product. Dave is going to do that for you. Just to give you an idea of what Forms Printer is, it's a reporting integration for GP. And so it integrates with SQL reporting services and Crystal reports. And we'll just kind of jump into the product. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in and ask them. So, go ahead, Steve.
All right. The Forms Printer is a product that is designed to replace report writer reports with Crystal and SRS for very specific reporting. We focus on forms, as the name implies. So the sales order processing documents, purchase orders, statements, payroll and payables checks, and also for project accounting invoices. Basically, those documents in the core product and then also in the project module that you would send out to your customers, that you might want to have greater control of the look of the document. It also, by virtue of the fact that we are using Crystal and SRS, it allows greater control of the content of the document as well. It's much easier to add custom content and third-party content than it is with a report writer report. You can grab anything from a SQL table, SQL stored procedure, SQL views, data from other products, and you can bring all of those things together in the report. And using those report designers, there's a lot more functionality there as far as calculated fields and what you can do with hiding and showing graphics and a variety of other things that make those tools really, I think, head and shoulders above what Report Writer offers today. And so what Forms Printer does is provides the integration between the Great Plains windows and processes that you're already printing from to those reporting tools. So here in our Forms Printer setup window, we see a list of reports that we have set up, and as we add them to our setup list, they'll appear here. And then if we take a look, we click on one, we'll look at the sales order processing back order, blank paper, unposted. This document is set up to print using SQL reporting services, and we've mapped it to a reporting services report. The product comes with sample reports for Crystal and SSRS for all of the documents that we print. You can take those reports and modify them as much as you like or as little as you need to get the desired output for the report that you want. Each report has a setup not only of the report tool, the reporting tool that you'll use and the report that you'll use, but also what we call delivery options. So the options to go to file, which include the type of file. PDF is by far the most common, the most popular, and both of these products, SRS and Crystal, create that PDF without the additional purchase of the Acrobat Writer as you would need to do with Report Writer. So there's a to file option by default here. There's printer options to choose whether it's going to go to the system default, whether you want it to ask you each time you print, or whether you want to predefine a specific printer when it goes to printer. And then there's also emailing functionality. With emailing, you have the choice of either using Outlook or Crystal Mappy when it's Crystal reports. In this case, it's an SRS report, so Crystal is not a choice here. Only Outlook is the choice for mailing. There's a lot of options for the way the mail will be created. There's an option to combine multiple documents per email. So if you're emailing a batch of invoices, it will consolidate into a single email all of the invoices for a single contact. So each contact would get only one email rather than one email per invoice. There's options for how the document will be mailed, who it will come from. In our case, we only have the default Outlook user because we don't have an Exchange server behind us on the demo. But in a live environment, this mail from list would be your entire directory of email addresses, and you could choose, for example, sales at. So if I wanted to send from sales at Accountable rather than myself personally, my emails would come from that user that I select, as long as I have send on behalf of permission. The mail to comes from the document type, so I might choose the document billed to, shipped to. You can also look at the master record, that's the customer or vendor in the case of a purchase order. So it can come from the master record, it can also come from the salesperson, or you see there's a scripted option there. And so this is sort of the ultimate in flexibility. The scripted option allows me to define a SQL statement that will pull email addresses from any table, any field, any SQL select, could be a view, whatever I want to use to go grab email addresses from. So it's sort of the most flexible option in terms of where you would get that email address from. There's also a send option, and how will the email behave when we send? Do we want it to go right out the door and to our recipient? Do we want it to go to a draft folder where we have the chance to review the email before it goes, review the attached document before it goes? There's a save to outbox, same sort of thing as draft. There's the save to outbox with delayed send, where it will go at a defined time. You can tell it the number of hours to delay. Let's say you're doing 1,000 emails a day, and you don't want that happening during the workday. You'd rather have it occur overnight when there's less volume on the server. You can delay your email sending. And then there's also the display choice. So you can have the application prompt you with the display of the document at the time you email. That's only good in certain cases. You wouldn't certainly want to do that if you were printing a batch of 100 invoices. You wouldn't want them all displayed. But if you're doing a small volume and you have a requirement to be able to modify the email, add additional attachments, anything like that, you can certainly use that option for those things. You can define additional email addresses on each document, so you can choose the additional mail to CCs and BCC addresses. You can choose whether those are required or not. If you mark required and the email address is blank, it won't send. It'll pause the email and give you the opportunity to fix that and add the email address. And again, pulling from that specific list for the CC. And then here, you can also hard code in email addresses here in the mail to CC and BCC list if you want to just type in an address. And then the last set of options for emailing are the format of the document attachment, which again, PDF is most common. This gives you the options based on the reporting engine you're using, whether it's SSRS or Crystal. So for SSRS, we have the PDF option, XML, HTML as it's attached as an image, Excel file. So you choose there what format. Now, the additional options that we have are the attachment name, the body text, and the subject text of the email. So when we send an email, we want to be able to control the name of the file that we're going to attach. So here, we can build that name based on tags. If you've ever used the Word mail merge functionality where you insert tags into your Word document, this works the same way. We're inserting tags into the attachment name of our email. So here I've said I want it to be the hard-coded text back order, and then I want to insert the sales order processing document number next. So I get that field from a list of available fields that are associated with the document. So from the customer, the transaction, user-defined fields and comments, I can pull values and I can build a parameterized or a tagged attachment name. I can also pull from system fields and global fields to do that. And then once I have that attachment name, I do the same thing for the body and the subject of the email. Here I've built the body, I've inserted different pieces of information from the customer, the contact name, again, the stop number, and then in this case, my location code as part of my signature. And I can save those messages so that I can reuse them anytime I'm doing, in this case, an order. This one is set up for the order specifically. And then, once again, for the subject text, now in this case, we've hard-coded the word backorder in that bowl for the subject in this example, but you can tag that as well. So once all of that's set up, the default delivery behavior has been defined for this document. And every time now, throughout the system, wherever we are in the core of Great Plains printing the backorder blank paper unposted format, these settings will take over and be applied. And the idea of Forms Printer, once this setup is done, is to be as seamless as possible, to interfere with the display of the document, the printing process of the document as little as possible. So if we're going to go to sales transaction entry now and look at our one of our back orders, and we can print that, and we'll just first go to screen. And now here, we've used all the normal process for printing until we get to this point. We see one small change where we see the word printer normally, and now it says printer or delivery system. And that's because Forms Printer is defined to print this document. So it's asking us, do we want to use either the print or delivery system behavior? In this case, we're just going to go to screen for the first time to show it going to SSRS. Now, in this case, this is my demo environment, and it's launching SSRS, so it takes just a second the first time when it has to warm up the web server. And so here is our example document. This is what ships with the product. If you wanted to do as little as pull off our logo and put the customer logo on there, that would be all you need to do. If you want to go as far as completely laying it out differently, pulling off all the fields, putting your own on, putting on custom tables, all those things can be done. And so now if we pull that document up again, and this time we go through the process and we deliver, we tell it print or deliver, the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to get into the dialogue and ask, what do you want to have happen when you print? Do you really mean to just get a hard copy of this to come out of the printer, or do you want the delivery options that we define for mailing, going to file, and going to printer to take precedence? And in this case, we'll say yes, let's deliver. And so here it's asking us our printer. This is our printer option. Actually, because it's a demo environment, there is no printer. So it's going to go to XPS file. That's the printer. That's just mimicking the printer output. And then the other thing that it did is it also sends the email. And here is our created email. It has the information that we defined. In this case, the mail to was blank, so it couldn't send the email. So it presented it to us in order that we could set that setting. If we go back to the Great Plains, we'll see it tells us delivered one document with no errors, and so and then that's the standard Great Plains delivery, the error log on the print. And so that's the basics of printing a single document. If we go back and look at some of the advanced setup of Forms Printer, that's just sort of at the document level. But the other nice thing that Forms Printer offers is at additional levels beneath the document. If we move on to a different document, like the order short form unposted, we'll see that there's a customer or a company setup here. So different than the document. And you'll notice when I click on here, the document level, now we're on the company level. So what we said is for every other company besides Fabricam, we want to go to we want to use Crystal, this report. We want to go to disk file to this folder in PDF format. We want it to go to printer when we deliver. But when I look at the company, you notice that the disk file option is now clear. So we're saying for Fabricam, do something different than you do for every other company. And at every level, I can do this. I can choose a different report and different delivery options for specific customer classes. If I want different behavior per customer class, I can choose a different behavior here. And if I want to, all the way down to individual customers, I can choose different behavior. You have somebody that doesn't want to receive emails. You can define a different setting for them so that their output, their delivery is not the printer. And you see the other option that sometimes the flexibility is very nice to have is even down to the individual report output, the report design that's used per customer or vendor in the case of a purchase order. You can define that here. When we add a new report, we have a full list of all the reports that are supported by Forms Printer. We can go in and see what report we want to print. It'll give us a list of those that have not yet been set up. So if I wanted to set up the purchase order history, add that, and now it gives me the option to choose a Crystal report or a SQL Reporting Services report. We choose SQL, it will go out and it'll give us a list of all the published reports that we have. We can map to the historical purchase order and then go on with our setup. Once we have the report defined, then we can go to the next step, which is to add other levels. So we want to add a company setup. So here, which company in our case in the demo is the company. Normally we see a list of companies there if there were more than one. And then once we have the company set up, then we can go in and choose, say, for a specific class or a master record, what do we want to set up. So in this case, give me a list of vendors. We want to define a specific setting for that vendor. So that is the basics of the setup and the printing. Other things to note about Forms Printer is that it is integrated anywhere that you would print a document type that Forms Printer prints. So in the case of a sales order document, you can print from the transaction entry window, the sales batches, the print sales document. You can print from the inquiry window. You can print from the list. If we go to a list of sales order transactions and use the functionality of multi-select from the list, it will print there. And so for each document type, anywhere in the system that you print that specific document, if it has been defined by the Forms Printer setup to print with Forms Printer, you can use it will integrate and print that document type. As you can see right here on our report destination, we have that printer deliver option for the sales order blind SQL because it's been set up, and we can print right from there. And so there's a Crystal, an example of the Crystal output of a sample document. And so that concludes the Forms Printer demo. Are there any questions anyone has? Or anything that you'd like me to cover in more detail?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you show me which project accounting reports are included?
Sure. For project accounting, if you have purchase projects and you're using purchase orders, it will print all of those, and then it prints all of the project invoices. So if we look, you see here there are quite a few set up already. The billing details, it's every invoice format for a project is included, and also the purchase orders. It will print if project is involved.
Are those the standard GP reports?
Yes. Yep. Those are some of them, and then if we choose projects, we'll see which others haven't been set up. There are quite a few projects include, quite a lot of reports. And the nice thing about Forms Printer is that we've tried to reduce the burden of report design as it relates to projects by looking at the real underlying structure of the report. What tables are on that report, and how is it laid out, and can we reduce the number of reports? So rather than having a different report for every single one of these formats, which is a heck of a lot of reports to create for us and to maintain for you, what we did is we only built one when there was a structural difference. We only built, the only time we added a new report. So a lot of these are consolidated, and so while we support all these formats, we do it in far fewer report designs than Project does with its report writer report.
Okay, and if we needed a version of one of these invoices in Crystal or SQL Reporting Services, we'd have to create our own.
There's a sample that ships with the product for every one of these. So there's a starting point for you. You would go in and make whatever changes you wanted, if it was to just the look of the report, the logo, the colors, or all the way down to adding your own tables if you desire. But there is a starting report for each one.
A Crystal report or an SRS report?
Both.
Oh, okay. And like in the setup window, you showed that you could click multiple documents per email. Does that also apply
to the project accounting invoices?
It does not actually, because of the way that project is designed. When they print, their code isolates each document individually, because you can define down to the project level which format the project is going to print in. So it has to isolate each one to know the format, and because it does that, we can't. So far, we haven't overridden that. We're looking at it now. It was brought to our attention very recently that it was an issue, that people wanted to be able to consolidate those. So we're looking at ways to do it. But today,
A lot of people
the
want-
product does individual emails per project.
Individual for project,
For each
multiple-
project invoice, it'll send an individual email.
an email at
You
this
can't
point,
consolidate. Yeah,
not at this point.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions or anything else they'd like to see in more detail? All right, well, if there isn't anything else, then that's everything that I wanted to show you today. If you have any questions about the functionality, if you have the need to set up a demo, certainly contact us. Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Go ahead and contact Ann, and then she can set that up with us. You can also hit our website, accountable.com, and that has more information on products, and other additional self-running demos and fact sheets and things like that.
Thank you.